Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. I'm Aaron Porras, here with ILTV's Morning Briefing. Following yesterday's encroachment of a Syrian drone into Israeli airspace, Israel's Air Force has just conducted a series of counterstrikes in southern Syria. I.D.F. officials have confirmed that 3 military sites belonging to the Assad regime have been targeted in early morning hours. These tensions are unfolding, perhaps purposely, with Prime Minister Netanyahu currently in Moscow for talks with Vladimir Putin. At this time, it seems clear that the I.D.F. initially hesitated roughly 15 minutes before downing yesterday's drone with a Patriot missile. This delay, which gave the unarmed drone enough time to fly 6 miles into Israeli territory, was likely used by Israeli officials to clear the attack through Russia first. Netanyahu has made it very clear that the focus of his talks with the Russian president will focus on removing Iran from Israel's border, as well as minimizing the Syrian threat. Many believe that given Netanyahu's close ties with Putin, there may indeed be some sort of compromise on the horizon here. But while a full Iranian pullout is unlikely, Putin may agree to some of Netanyahu's demands if Israel should help lift American sanctions placed on Russia. The United States set those sanctions in response to Moscow's illegal occupation and then annexation of the Crimean Peninsula from Ukraine. Russia has, for the most part, tolerated Israeli counterattacks against Putin's Syrian ally. But at the same time, the Russian president has armed Assad forces with a fresh arsenal of deadly medium-range missiles. Needless to say, the two leaders certainly have plenty to discuss in today's high-stakes meeting. Prime Minister Netanyahu is now in Moscow, where he's meeting with Russian President Putin to discuss the ongoing conflict in Syria and Iran's entrenchment near the Israeli border. But Netanyahu and his wife Sarah aren't just there for politics. The Prime Minister said that after the meeting, my wife and I have been invited to watch the World Cup semi-final match, and they told us that we could bring 2 guests. We decided to bring with us 2 wonderful children who are bravely fighting cancer. The 2 patients are Mika Lipsker and Alon Izraev. Netanyahu said that his family has known Mika for 9 years, and she's now 18. And as for 13-year-old Alon, his parents emigrated from Russia, and he reportedly likes soccer very much. Netanyahu added that he and his wife are very moved that they could realize a dream for the pair. The I.D.F. has just expanded its educational and professional assistance program, Perek Mesima, to now include both Haredim and former Haredim who are struggling to enter secular society. The Perek Mesima program lasts for 4 months at the end of military service, and those who qualify for it receive opportunities to study, learn a profession, or complete a high school diploma. Previously, this Perek Mesima track was only offered to Haredi and ultra-Orthodox soldiers who needed to overcome educational gaps. Anyone who left the Haredi community or the Jewish religion entirely and was then drafted into the military, however, was not offered this advantage. Roughly 1,300 such soldiers exist in the I.D.F. today. But now, thanks to the efforts of the Lobby for Graduates of Ultra-Orthodox Educational Institutions, the Out for Change advocacy group, and the Fund and Unit for Directing Discharged Soldiers, formerly Orthodox soldiers will be able to integrate more smoothly into the market and into society. Vice President of the Out for Change group, Yossi Klar, explained that there is no reason that people from the same cultural background and with similar educational gaps will not be eligible for the same benefits. Ireland is again advancing legislation that would put the Emerald Isle and Israel at odds. The Irish Parliament passed for the second reading a bill that would criminalize the import or trade of goods produced in settlement communities. Though the bill still needs a lot of work and a third vote to become law, the second vote passed with 25 for and 20 against, and 14 abstentions. In response, Israel's foreign ministry on Wednesday summoned the Irish ambassador to Israel, Alison Kelly, for a reprimanding. A written statement from the foreign ministry read, "The Irish Senate has given its support to a populist, dangerous, and extremist anti-Israel boycott initiative that hurts the chances of dialogue between Israel and the Palestinians." It went on to say that the absurdity in the Irish Senate's initiative is that it will harm the livelihoods of many Palestinians who work in the Israeli industrial zones affected by the boycott. Palestinians and pro-Palestinian rights groups, of course, are hailing the vote, however, calling it a courageous step. Regardless, though, the future of the bill is suspect, as the Dublin government said the bill was not legally capable of curbing trade with Israeli settlement-based companies. An unusual and truly disturbing kidnapping case is quickly escalating into a national crisis. Earlier this week, a 7-year-old boy from a city in central Israel was kidnapped in broad daylight by masked captives. Sometime later, the family of the child received a ransom demand from the kidnappers, demanding over $1 million. At this time, the child's whereabouts are still unknown, though police have just announced that 4 suspects have been arrested in connection to this horrible crime. Making this all the more macabre is the fact that the abduction of 7-year-old Karim Janhour was caught on tape. But investigators seem to be divided on the motive. Some sources say that Karim's abduction is linked to the family's unpaid debts to a crime syndicate. Others report that he may have been kidnapped in response to an unresolved financial fight with the boy's own relatives. Rumors of a deal between Israeli police and the child's kidnappers surfaced sometime yesterday, perhaps preempting the arrest of these 4 suspects today. For now, details are scarce, and police are continuing their search for little Karim with helicopters, checkpoints, and interrogations, but at this time his whereabouts are still unknown. Thankfully, he is believed to be in good health though, and unharmed. Needless to say, the story has captured the attention and hearts of the entire nation, who are praying for Karim's safe return as soon as possible. That's all for now. I'm Aaron Porras, and see you later with our main daily broadcast from Israel at 2 p.m. Eastern Time.